Thanks for coming to the X Takeover, formerly Tesla Takeover, for the second year in a row.
You're welcome.
Well, let's kick things off. Let's start off with really your baby, the Starship. Starship is the most ambitious rocket ever built. What's been harder than expected, and what's the next milestone we should watch for?
Well, I thought everything would be hard, so it's not like I was like,
it would be easy.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, Starship is a crazy program on so many levels because if you've got something with 2.5, and future versions will be 3 times the thrust of the Saturn V moon rocket, which was previously the largest rocket and largest flying object ever made. So Starship is 3 times the thrust, roughly twice the weight of the next largest flying object ever made, and has the goal of being fully and rapidly reusable. So this is a really crazy thing to do. I think it's really one of the hardest engineering challenges that exists. When we first started talking about Starship, people thought this was impossible. In fact, even within the company, we sort of thought it was impossible, and it had a very high sort of what I call giggle factor. You mention the thing, and people immediately start giggling like at the absurdity of it all. So now it's gone from, as say I guess I specialize in in going from the impossible to the merely late. So that's my skill. It wasn't possible. Now it's just late. And I encourage anyone who's interested to go and visit Starbase in South Texas. It's like a magical land with gigantic rockets. I think some of you have
it's insane.
It's very inspiring. It's like take friends and family. It's on a major highway, so you can see things quite close up, and really get a sense for the scale of the rocket and the factory and everything. So it's very cool. I guess the thing that I thought would be hardest currently is the hardest, which is creating a fully reusable orbital heat shield, which has never been done before. So normally the heat shields are they're expendable, and even say for the shuttle heat shield, they would lose many of the tiles on every flight, and they'd have to refurbish the heat shield between each flight. So no one has ever created a fully reusable orbital heat shield before. And no one, in fact, no one has created a fully reusable orbital rocket before. And Falcon 9 is the first rocket where there's at least the boost stage is reusable on a regular basis, and where it actually makes economic sense. So, so solving the heat shield problem is, I think, probably the single biggest remaining challenge for Starship. And then, of course, getting the upper stage or the ship to land and also get caught by the giant metal chopsticks, which looks like a sci-fi movie. That looks like an improbable sci-fi movie. The whole thing.
Chopsticks, literally catching it.
Yeah, giant metal chopsticks. That's it's pretty wild to be catching the largest flying object ever made with metal chopsticks out of the air. But I'm hopeful that the ship will be recovered maybe this year, but certainly I'd say in the first half of next year. And then there'll be further improvements to make the ship and the booster not just reusable, but fully and rapidly reusable, which will actually drop the cost per flight, cost per ton of payload of Starship below that of a Falcon 1 rocket, of an expendable Falcon 1. So that getting 100 tons or more to orbit of useful payload will cost less than a rocket that would ordinarily deliver half a ton. That was Falcon 1. And it's because all you're doing is replacing the fuel and oxygen in the rocket as opposed to building a new rocket. And most of the propellant is actually oxygen, not fuel. It's almost 80% oxygen, 20% fuel. Then the next big technology challenge after being able to achieve full reuse of the ship is orbital refilling, where we actually refill propellant from orbit, like aerial refueling. In this case, it's orbital refilling. I say refilling, not refueling, because most of what's transferred is actually liquid oxygen as opposed to fuel. So for orbital refilling, you need to have 2 starships come together and dock and transfer propellant from one starship to another, and then in the future to an orbital propellant depot. Yeah, so that's the situation.
Doesn't sound hard. Just
I mean, it is very achievable. There's nothing nothing impossible is being talked about here, but it is very tricky to do, and no other organization is even trying to do this. It's not like well, who else is trying to do this? Well, nobody actually. So in fact, even after all these years, there's still no company that's reusing a booster. So no one's even tried to do Falcon 9 level reusability, even though we've shown that it clearly makes a ton of sense, because compare the cost of any form of transport, where if you have to throw away the item afterwards, like if every time you drove somewhere you had to throw away the car, you'd be, wow, that's a crazy car where you have to throw away after every time you drive it. But that's how it works for rockets. So that is really, yeah, I don't think anyone would be driving a car if you have to buy a new car every time you drove somewhere, and then you have to tow another car behind you for the return journey.
Elon, what does a So talk about the impossible, Elon. What does a self-sustaining city on Mars actually look like? How many people? What kind of economy? What kind of governance?
Well, governance will be up to the Martians. But we have some sort of honest impressions of what a Mars city would look like. And I don't really know, to be honest. Except that Mars is not yet at the point where it's sort of terraformed, where you could live outdoors. So you'd have to live initially in glass domes or something like that. And then you could walk outside with a Mars suit, but you could not walk outside without a Mars suit. Yeah, it's but I should also say, like maybe explain for those who haven't heard of, like why is it worth doing something like this? What's the purpose of Mars? Shouldn't we just focus on Earth? And I'm like, yeah, I think we should focus on Earth. Like 99% of what we do should be focused on Earth, but maybe 1% of what we do should be focused on becoming a spacefaring civilization and a multi-planet species, because there's the defensive argument where it's if something were to happen to Earth and that destroyed civilization, this could be World War III, or it could be a meteor like the one that destroyed the dinosaurs, then we want to make sure that the tiny candle of consciousness that exists with humanity does not go out. And so I think it's important to be a multi-planet species to ensure the long-term survival of consciousness and all the life forms that we have here on Earth. So And the other life forms can't extend life to another planet, but we can do it for them. We can bring the other.
Oh shit.
And to be clear, I'm an optimist. I mean, I think the most likely outcome is that the future will be good, but there's a small chance that that something will go wrong. And if so, we don't want the light of consciousness to go out on we want the light of consciousness to continue. So that's kind of the defensive argument. And then then there's also the sort of the inspiration argument, which is that life can't be just about solving one sort of miserable problem. You about the future that make you excited to be alive, and make you you wake up in the morning, you're like, I can't wait to see what happens. There have to be things like that too, and what they learn is everyone on Earth, just like the Apollo program was inspiring to everyone on Earth. Whether you went there, obviously very few people went there, but it was, in a way, we all vicariously went to the moon. And it was a great achievement of humanity, and it was very inspiring to people all around the world. So, and learning more about the nature of the universe and seeing what's happening out there, even if you don't go yourself, is still very inspiring. So, I think those are all things that matter a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly inspiring what SpaceX and Tesla are doing. Do you ever foresee SpaceX going? What the question was is we were asking, do you think that SpaceX is eventually going to go interstellar? Is there a plan?
Well,
for
hopefully. I certainly hope so. Yeah. I'm probably not in my lifetime, but probably not in my lifetime, but yes, eventually.
Elon, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Let's talk about robotaxi. How do you see the robotaxi platform coexisting with the rest of Tesla's lineup? Will it replace the Model 3 and why?
Well, this Cybercab, which is a two-seater, and that would not replace the 3 and Y, because 3 and Y have a 4-seater and 6-seater capability. So I think you'd find that the Cybercab would be for 1 or 2 passengers, and then dynamically it would call the Model 3 for, or Y for 4 passengers, or Y for 6 passengers. And then we'll have the larger vehicles. But I mean, this is not the forum for making major product announcements. To be totally honest,
no worries.
I got to be, a little careful here about what I say.
We got you. Does Tesla plan on owning a large fleet of robotaxis? And then when will private citizens be able to go on the Tesla network?
Yes, Tesla will own some of the fleet will be Tesla owned, and some of the fleet will be customer owned. So you could think of it as a model kind of like maybe some combination of Uber and Airbnb, where some people own the cars and then subtract them to the fleet, and some cars are owned by Tesla directly.
So if robotaxi succeeds, Elon, how does Tesla navigate the paradox of making the best cars in the world, but also possibly needing fewer of them?
Well, guys, it's tough for me to answer questions because Tesla's a publicly traded company, and so this is the most interesting questions you'd want to ask me are the questions I can't really answer.
Yeah. No, yeah, of course, no. We definitely don't want to put you on the spot there. So I think you posted a week or two ago about, and even Lars mentioned it about just the Roadster program and how it's still active. What can you tell us about its current development status?
Well, we're aiming for a demonstration at the end of this year. I mean, the Roadster is not something that's going to meaningfully affect, say, the financials of the company, because it's too small relative to other programs. It is very cool. So hopefully, we're able to do a demo at the end of this year, or early next year, latest.
You said that Optimus could be more valuable than Tesla's entire automotive business.
Yes.
What's the roadmap from where we are today to widespread deployment?
Again, you're really asking me for questions that are highly sensitive to the value of the company, and so that's not really something I can answer.
All right.
The current design, so the version 3 of Optimus, I think is the right design to go to volume production. But it is a significant redesign from version 2. In fact, almost nothing stays the same. So I'm really faced with a choice of, should we make several thousand version 2 Optimus robots when we know the design can be much better, or should we pause, do version 3, which is much better, and we would maybe have, I don't know, a few hundred robots instead of a few thousand robots by the end of this year. And I think the right decision was to go with version 3 and then scale production significantly next year. Now, in terms of the value of Optimus, you really need to think of the basic question of who wouldn't want their own personal C-3PO R2-D2?
I think
we
all
all
do.
want that. I mean, let's ask the crowd. Would you guys like?
Do you guys want an Optimus?
Yeah. Exactly. It'd be very cool. And it would actually be, by the way, much better than in functionality than C-3PO and R2-D2. So it would be super useful. So I think basically everyone on Earth is going to want one, and then you're going to have a bunch in industry. So that's why I think it's probably the world's biggest product, because there's at least a market for probably 20 billion. These could be 50 billion. I don't know, a lot. So, hypothetically, if Tesla was making 1 billion of these a year at scale, and at scale the cost gets lower and lower. So maybe it'd be like on the order of $50,000. I'm just guessing here. And that's 30 trillion in revenue.
Insane.
That's a long way to go between here and making 1 billion robots a year.
Yeah.
but I do think something like that may happen. Yeah.
What would you say is Optimus going to have the biggest impact on? Do you think it's going to start obviously in manufacturing, or at what, not necessarily timeline, but where do you see Optimus having the biggest impact?
Well, initially we would go to very high value things. So, say somebody needs a lot of medical care or something. So like, if Optimus could be like a 24-hour a day nurse or helper to someone that is quadriplegic or something like that, or something just really it needs physical help. So that's the kind of thing which would be life-changing for a lot of people. Those would be the highest value initial use cases. It will also be used in situations where the work is very dangerous. Where there's a lot of repetitive tasks, but like any work that risks life or some kind of injury would be a good initial use case for Optimus.
When you look ahead in 10 years, what's more transformative, full self-driving or Optimus?
Optimus.
Seems like that was an easy one.
Yeah.
You've
Well, and I do emphasize, like, it's very hard to do. So it's not like it just it's a hard thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I see you're drinking some good old Diet Coke, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to those. You've hinted that we may reach digital superintelligence this year or next. How will we know that we've crossed that line, and what does day one of AGI really look like?
Well, I'm not sure it's like a massive. It may be less profound than at least at first it will be less profound. Like what AI has not done yet is invent new technologies that are useful. So it hasn't discovered new physics, and it has not invented technologies that are useful. But I think that is something that will happen. Yeah.
If Grok becomes smarter than any human, what role do we play? Are we co-pilots, overseers, or just legacy code?
Well, it won't just be Grok. There will be many AI. There will be at least, I think, 4 major AIs, maybe 5, just in the United States. And so even if Grok was not developed, there would still be digital superintelligence. And I've been fighting personally sort of driving hard on digital superintelligence for a long time, because I wasn't sure if this is a double-edged sword or a single-edged sword or what. But it became very obvious after a while that this was going to happen, whether I participated or not. So therefore, I had a choice of either be a spectator or a participant, but that it was going to happen with or without me. So then I think, well, okay, I'd rather be a participant than a spectator. And I can try to focus on AI safety, which, in my view, and I've thought about this for a long time, is that the most important thing for AI safety is to be maximally truth-seeking, which means often like saying things that are maybe politically incorrect, but actually factually correct. And also, there'll be mistakes that are made, then admitting the mistakes and taking corrective action. And Grok still has a long way to go to actually truth-seeking. But I think this goal is also consistent with inventing new technologies, solving medical problems. If you want to cure cancer, you have to be maximally truth-seeking to understand what the root cause is, for example. So I think that's actually very fundamental, both for safety and for usefulness. And yeah, so now the economy of the future, I think, is going to look sort of quite different from where it is today. And AI and robotics, in the good scenario, which we're working towards, trying to ensure makes that we do have the good scenario, there will be no shortage of products and services for anyone. Like basically anyone will be able to have any products and services that they want. That's the productivity gains from AI and robotics are just astounding to think about. Like I think it could increase the size of the economy by a factor of 10 or more. Like it will eliminate poverty. And you really will be in a situation where anyone can have anything they want. The bigger challenge may be finding meaning in life. So if the robot can do anything that you can do, but maybe better, how do you find meaning in life? That may be the biggest challenge.
When you think of the fact, you mentioned that, you've been holding off on, really getting involved, whether it's, participating versus being a spectator. And when you're thinking of the next couple of years of, like, let's say, not necessarily catching up, but just doubling down and really focusing on it, what are going to be your biggest focus points?
Really, it's making it useful and making it safe for humanity and making it love humanity, essentially. And be, you want it to be useful and friendly. So those are the most important things. I've never seen any technology advance as fast as AI. So, and I've seen a lot of technologies advance.
Yeah.
So the rate of, I call it, and maybe this is a discomforting metaphor, but AI is a supersonic tsunami.
Does not sound fun, but yeah.
It sounds a little scary in that way, but in terms of exceeding prior technologies, it's like a supersonic tsunami. And you really do need to pair AI with robotics.
Yeah, I think it's crazy just how much it's advanced in just the past year or 2 years, and seeing how kids are using it, using Grok 4, Grok Voice, the companions now.
Yeah.
I think you've answered this before, but what keeps you up at night when you think of the future of AI? And now that you're doubling down and really just going wartime mode right now on just tackling these issues, what is something that keeps you up at night?
Well, AI safety, and making sure that AI is aligned with humanity and wants to foster and grow and better humanity. And basically, we want to be like, if you could look into a crystal ball right now and see the future, it needs to be the future one. And so, I mean, I have this kind of like new term for the goal of Tesla. Because the goal of Tesla previously was accelerating the advancement of sustainable energy, which is like a very good goal. And then the reason I pursued that rather than AI, because I could have pursued AI from the beginning, was because I was confident that sustainable energy was a single-edged sword. It was only a good edge. So we showed that, okay, we succeed in that, okay, that's definitely good. Sustainable energy, by definition, is great. You get cleaner air, and and I can run out of whatever the source fuel is with combination of solar batteries and electric cars. Then that's an unequivocal good. For AI, like I said, it is more of a double-edged sword risk. But I think it most likely will be good, and most likely will bring immense prosperity, and it's going to figure out how to cure every disease, and it's probably going to be awesome. But I think we need to be careful and not complacent, and we actually be somewhat paranoid to make sure that we have the good AI future and not the bad AI future. So I mean, from a Tesla stock standpoint, I think stock with autonomous cars, and especially with Optimus, it does go to sort of crazy levels. I'd always recommend looking at Cathie Wood and ARK Invest's analysis. They've been right in the past, and I think they're right this time. And again, with a lot of difficult execution, I think people out there have said, well, Tesla's valuation could be 25 trillion. And I think that's probably correct if we execute well on autonomous transport and Optimus. It actually does get to a $20 to $30 trillion valuation. So that's 20 to 30 times what it is today.
Everyone's cheering.
Yeah. Yeah, the math is clear. So it's just a massive amount of work, and but I think if we do that massive amount of work, that's what will happen. So.
Elon, let's talk about Neuralink. You've described Neuralink in the past as a way to solve the input-output bottleneck between humans and machines,
yes.
Right? What's the long-term vision? Is Neuralink a medical company, or is it the first step towards symbiosis with AI?
It starts off as a medical technology. So Neuralink's initial goals are really to help people who have, say, quadriplegic, tetraplegic, they've lost the use of their body, and to be able to enable them to control their phone and computer just by thinking. And I think we have eight patients so far, and all eight love the device and are using it every day. So it's helped a lot of people, and I think Tesla team, the Neuralink team is aiming to do about 20 patients by the end of the year. So it's accelerating. And then next year we'll be doing the blind sight implant, which will enable people who are completely blind, like if they've lost both eyes and optic nerve, and still be able to see. Interfacing directly with the visual cortex. So there are a lot of cool things like that. So the focus actually is fixing serious medical issues. and prove out the safety and efficacy, and then eventually, at some point, you could get cybernetic enhancements. So it could be something that massively augments intelligence and allows you to communicate at ultra high speeds. So it's very sci-fi. And it could even get to the point where you could upload your memories and essentially have a saved version of yourself. And then I'm speculating here, but then maybe download that into a new, on a cloned body, either robot. I'm really getting into sci-fi here, but like download that into a robot body if you want, or a cloned version of your original self. You know, they've certainly made sci-fi movies and written books about this. So these are not new ideas, but I do think stuff like that will be possible, which would give you, I guess, a form of, or anybody wants it, a form of immortality. And to be clear, I do think these things will be available to anyone who wants to do it. So it's not going to be sort of limited to a few sort of, you know, elite members of society. I think it will be available to anyone who wants it.
It's crazy just to think, you know, with Neuralink, Grok, the Grok companion, and even the humanoid robot. How do you see? I mean, it just feels like more and more, whether it's Grok, the Grok companion, and then Neuralink. I know we did an interview with Brad, who is the third patient who has ALS, and he was also utilizing Grok.
Yeah.
What do you see continuing to see that integration between, let's say, Neuralink and even Grok as things continue to grow?
Yeah, Grok will actually be able to understand the signals from you. So the Neuralink's connecting to your brain, and then it's sending the signals to Grok, and then Grok can actually understand those signals at kind of like a binary level, as opposed to having to translate it into words. And so it will greatly improve the efficiency with which you can use your Neuralink device. I mean, we're really getting into some interesting philosophical questions, or interesting questions. Like, if you think about how much your mental capacity, your mind is used to take a complex thought or image in your mind and translate that into words. And it's very lossy, because how can you really, just with words, convey, say, an image that you have in your mind? It's very difficult to do so. And if you're not an artist, it's actually very difficult to actually get the image from your mind onto a computer or paper. But the computer could do that. You could say, okay, this is the image that you want to produce, and well, let's say that, like, there's a complex series of concepts that you want to convey to someone else. And if both people have a neural link, you'll be able to convey a complex series of ideas, uncompressed in their full form, to someone else's mind, as opposed to reducing complex concepts down to a few sentences and trying to get someone else to hear what those sentences are, decompress those sentences in their mind, and try to understand the concepts that are in your mind. So this is what I call it conceptual telepathy. So this would greatly improve communication and understanding between humans.
You've mentioned restoring vision and mobility, but the idea of writing to the brain...
And hearing too, sorry. So it's like, basically, if there's if there's any sense or brain injury, in principle, that sensory function or that brain injury can be solved with a Neuralink. So that includes hearing, sight, smell. I don't know if people, not many people lost their sense of smell, but feeling. It could be like if somebody has a stroke and they've lost the ability to move their left arm, a Neuralink could restore that ability. It's really a very powerful general purpose input-output device that can address, over time, any brain or neurological issue. So if somebody's having seizures, it could actually stop the seizures. It could, I think, probably fix schizophrenia. There's a lot of things that could, in principle, it could fix basically anything that's to do with the brain or neurons or your senses.
Is there anything that would be is there a most difficult problem to solve in that space then? Because technically a lot of it could be solved. Is there something that would maybe you would see bigger blockers on trying to solve as far as fixing those problems?
I'm not aware of blockers right now. It's just that when you're putting devices in humans, you have to be very careful and to make sure that no damage is done and that the implant works and without any negative side effects. And so far, knock on wood, we're batting 1,000 here, and patients have the devices have worked and they've noticed no meaningful side effect. So it's really just, it's pretty cool, but it's just in order to be safe, that does slow us down. And of course, we interact very closely with the FDA and for approvals and stuff. So it's not just Neuralink in a vacuum here. It's with regulatory approval from the FDA. So and then you do need different variants of Neuralink device for solving different things. So, for example, for the telepathy product, which is what we have in the 8 patients so far, that interfaces with the motor cortex in the brain. So it's like literally, someone will think about moving their hand. Neuralink device will read that signal in the motor cortex and then move the mouse on their computer. And then for sight, it's a different thing because you've got to stimulate the visual cortex, and the visual cortex is in a different location, and it's a little deeper. So you've got to put the electrodes a little bit deeper to reach the visual cortex. And in this case, it's not reading, it's writing. It's effectively writing pixel to the visual cortex. This is something we've had working in monkeys for about 3 years now. In fact, one of our monkeys has both a telepathy implant and a blind sight implant. And he's a very happy monkey. I do want to emphasize, we take great care of our animals. This is a really big deal. Because I've always said, imagine if we were in their position. Well, let's just do all the things that if we were in their position, we'd do. And the USDA inspector that came by to check out our facilities, she said in her entire career, she's never seen a nicer monkey enclosure ever. and let me tell you, monkeys love, for the telepathy implant, monkeys are just like us. They love playing video games and eating snacks. So if you look at that video of Pager, which I think it's like 4 years old now, you see he's just sitting on a branch, sipping a banana smoothie, which he gets every time he scores. He gets a sip of a smoothie, but he's not being held down. Like he likes playing the game. So it's really just like humans, like snacks and video games. And yeah, same thing.
One question I have: how does like building a humanoid robot and Neuralink intersect, if at all? I mean, what are the learnings from that? Is there any overlap?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, building a humanoid robot has really made me think a lot about how the human body works. You gain a new appreciation for actually just how awesome a design the human body is. Now, admittedly, I think some parts of the human body could be better, like the spine. Like, why do we have so much back pain? It's very annoying.
Maybe don't fight sumo wrestlers, man.
Yeah, seriously, dug my own grave there. But yeah, typically, you know, everyone has back pain in some point in their life, which is also a thing Neuralink can solve. So that'd be cool too. But no, Optimus has really made me think a lot about how our hands work, how we balance, how we do different things. But maybe more than anything, just how incredible our hands are. It's like, wow. Things that our hands do, like the hands of Optimus are half or more than half of the electromechanical problem. And the entire rest of the body is a half.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like, honestly, you look at your hands, you're like, and you move, and if you feel your forearm, like almost all the muscles that control your hand are actually in your forearm, and they're pulling your fingers like puppets. So yeah, there's only a small number of muscles that are in your hand itself, but your hand is all being controlled through tendons that go either through or above your carpal tunnel, and your hand is being operated like a marionette from your forearm. Yeah.
One thing that's crazy,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much the human body, whether it's like, Tesla vision going, just trying to see what kind of like similar to how humans view the world, right? And getting rid of the radar. And then same thing with the humanoid robot and just, thinking and seeing how the human body works. Is there anything more specifically, even within the human body, that will continue to infer whether it's the humanoid robot? And it sounds like obviously the hand is one of the biggest problems.
Yeah.
But are there other parts of the body too that would continue to help infer other parts of the humanoid robot? Or again, it's just with Tesla vision and eyesight.
Well, with Optimus, we're able to reuse the autopilot computer. So Optimus is intelligence is powered by the AI for the same computer that controls the car, and a small battery pack that's similar to the car battery pack. So there's a lot of similarities with the car, and then the AI that's in the car is similar to the AI that will be in Optimus, running the AI4 hardware, and then AI5 hardware when that's ready. So there are a lot of parallels. But the limiting factor is the hand. Yeah. But I'm convinced that Optimus will be the biggest product ever. Yeah. So, and then of course, autonomy is starting to roll out. Currently in Austin, but will be in many cities throughout the United States later this year, and hopefully many countries next year.
Yeah, here in the Bay Area, we have a bunch of FOMO. Everyone's looking at Austin right now. I can tell you, I always, whenever I open that RoboTaxi app, man, it just, the geofence, just the figurine is insane.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, you gotta have some fun, you know. Don't take yourself too seriously, type of thing.
Let's switch and talk about X. You've called X, and here we are at X Takeover. You've called X the everything app, but it's still in a transitional phase. What exactly do you want X to be in 5 years?
I mean, X is definitely improving. It's evolved a lot from Twitter. You can only have like, short text tweets and like 2-minute videos, to the point where now you can have like 4-hour videos and you can write a novel if you want on the system. So it's gone sort of fully multimodal, from long videos to long text to anything in between. And we're currently really improving the DM system. So the new system called XChat, which enables audio video calling. It's all fully encrypted, peer-to-peer style, like Bitcoin. And the acid test is that even if somebody puts a gun to my head, I still can't read your messages. That's the acid test. So it's like very secure, and also like you calling and video with it. And then there's the kind of X money or X finance release, which is hopefully only a few months away. Well, we actually have it operating in beta within the company, and that'll be a major factor. So, but X is as much as possible about ensuring freedom, like freedom of speech, within as much as we can within the bounds of the law, and also like aspirationally trying to reach for the truth of things. Like you see that in community notes, where community notes will correct someone, even if they're very powerful. Community notes will correct me. It'll correct presidents, CEOs, even major advertisers, and even if that costs money. So I think it's generally, there's a lot of good things that have happened. We're trying to improve the algorithm, which we know kind of sucks right now. Sorry about that.
No, not at all. I actually enjoy it, but
okay, good. Well,
some days are crazier than others, like when the geofence expanded and some of these other things. But yeah, no, I don't know if you have any opinions, Kelvin.
Sorry, your voice was a bit low there. I couldn't hear your question.
Oh, I was saying the algorithm can be crazy some days, especially like when the RoboTaxi geofence expanded.
Yeah. The overarching goal of the algorithm is to try to show people information they would find most interesting. But right now, it'll show you too much of one thing. So whatever the sort of interesting thing of the day is right now, the X algorithm will show you too much of that, and it's like, okay, I don't need to see it 20 times. I think I've seen like the Sydney Sweeney jeans thing about 400 times at this point. And it's like, okay, the first few times was good, but we shouldn't show things like 100 times. Because you want to learn new things. Yeah. So, but X is making steady progress, offering, pretty much everything you want to do. And yeah, I feel good about where it's headed.
Payments, I know we're waiting on that, and just thinking about even PayPal too. It's crazy, just what fate loves irony, doing X.com back in the late '90s, and then full force buying it, years back, and now you're doing payments again.
Yeah, it's a sort of poetic and or returning to something that was sort of unfinished with PayPal and kind of completing the product line.
What role do you think Grok and XAI play in the future of X? Is it just a feature, a core intelligence layer, or does that change how people experience the platform?
Yeah, Grok, I think it's pretty helpful because that Grok button, which you can press about any given post on the system, and its analysis of the post is usually quite accurate. It doesn't bat 1,000, but it really gives you deeper insight into any given piece of information that somebody posts on the system. You can figure out more context, helps you figure out if it's true or not. And we actually just added Grok for all advertising in the system, so you can press the Grok button and see, hey, is this product going to work, or is this product legit or not? Which I kind of always wanted to have on ads. It's like, does this thing really work? That's what I want to ask a lot of ads. And now on the X system, you can ask, does this thing really work? I guess advertisers where Grok says it doesn't really work are probably not going to advertise for very long. Maybe it'll encourage better honesty in advertising, which I think would be a good thing. But we're just generally trying to make X a system that you can trust more than any other system. And I think it is there already. It does not say that X is perfect. It's definitely mistakes, but is there any other social media company you trust more than X?
No.
Nope. So it's like, I'm not trusting Facebook, or I don't know, not to pick on Facebook, or whatever, but I think it's actually probably fair to say that X is the most trustworthy, or least untrustworthy, of social networks.
Yeah, I think that became very apparent just when you just compare of the news during COVID and things being censored.
Yeah.
And just you come to X and you can find out what's really happening. And it's real time. It's really like I would say the world's discourse in town square, right? It can sometimes be a fist fight, it feels like, but at the same time, it's just where you can find out what's really going on.
Right. And that's the goal. And I do want to emphasize, obviously, there's a long way to go. It's far from perfect, but I do think it's getting better over time. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but the trend over time, I think, is very good for X being the place where you can figure out what's really going on in the world, dig into the truth, and then you can ask Grok more. You can also learn a lot of things. So you can ask if there's a new thing that's invented or announced, you can ask Grok on the system more about it and instantly educate yourself.
Yeah, I don't think I've any.
And then we monitor when Grok gets things wrong, and then we feed that back into the system to make it aspirationally less wrong over time.
Yeah, it's really just crazy to think, when you talk to Grok and you can ask it for just things in your timeline. Hey, make a post sound like me on this topic.
Yeah.
Or you want it
It's
to.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like we are actually aiming for Grok to be actually I should say, two goals are for Grok to be the most truth-seeking AI, but also the funniest AI. Because you got to have some fun in life, and laughter is the best medicine. You gotta have some fun.
Elon, you've predicted a world of abundant energy, robotic labor, and AGI. With AI and Optimus doing, potentially a lot of things and reducing the amount of things that we're doing today, what do you think is left for humans, and really, what does that mean for in the world of artificial superintelligence?
Yeah, that's a question that I struggle with, actually. So, this is part of the reason for Neuralink, which is to improve the bandwidth of communication with AI, so to help achieve a better human-AI symbiosis, so that AI knows what we want, and it can respond to collective human will. And I think things like Neuralink can actually effectively, dramatically increase our intelligence. But I think the future is very much one where human intelligence, machine intelligence, and robots are interwoven. I think it's 80%, maybe 90% likely to be awesome. but we got to be cautious about that, 10% maybe not awesome situation.
Like Terminator.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, something like that would be bad.
What's your vision for a society where human effort is no longer required for survival or productivity? How do we avoid irrelevance?
Right, I think that's the central question. Well, if we are symbiotic with AI, where there's this essentially a merger of human and machine intelligence, then we may be able to address the relevance question. Like let's say you ride a bicycle or a motorcycle or a car. You're superhuman in what you're able to do. You can now travel faster than any human with legs. I mean, if you're a car, you can go vastly faster than the fastest human ever. Does that make running irrelevant? I mean, people still run and still race against each other. So, but you've got humans working with machines. I mean, they actually had these kind of debates when the steam engine came along and the steam shovel. It's like, well, because people derived a lot of their value from saying they can do manual work faster than a machine, and then the machine got faster. So, but this is a philosophical question that I struggle with. And the best thing I can come up with is that you have interwoven human and machine intelligence, and got something like Neuralink to augment human intelligence and improve the symbiosis with AI, that we effectively become maybe one with the AI.
Elon, sorry, the audience was about to clap and I started talking. But Elon, you're solving I guess in a lot of ways is sometimes you say, you know, a lot of problems. And in a lot of ways, you're creating a very exciting future with reusable rockets, the mission to Mars with Starship, with the humanoid robots and how it's gonna, just the impact that it'll have, and Neuralink, and seeing the impact on Nolan and Brad. What gives you hope for today, not just for humanity and civilization, but personally?
Well, I think the future is going to be very interesting and exciting. And I guess I also think, would I want to be at any other point in human history? Is there some other point in human history that is more interesting than where we are today? And I think the answer is no, at least for me. I think we're at the most interesting part of human history. And it's getting more interesting with each passing month. And so I'm like, okay, well, if I'm in the part of human history that is the most interesting, then I think, you know, anyone who feels that way, and I think a lot of people feel that way, that we should feel very lucky to be alive at this time, to see these amazing things happen.
Well, Elon, we wanted to do a time check, but also...
Yeah, I better get back to my 8 jobs.
Yeah, exactly. You're not a busy man at all. But we just, Kelvin and I, we just want to, on behalf of Tesla owners of Silicon Valley, Tesla owners Austria, San Joaquin Valley, and really just all of the 1,500 people that traveled from all over the world, we just want to personally just say thank you for all you're doing, and thank you for continuing to push humanity forward.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you have a whole bunch of people here just cheering. So thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you. Well, and thank you for your support over the years. It's super appreciated. You know, I would say my heart goes out to you, but I have to watch my gestures these days.
We know what you mean.
I can only point straight ahead or straight up.
Hey, Elon, so we wanted
but
to...
anyway, my heart does go out to you. And thank you all for your support over the years.
Yeah, and we just had one thing that we wanted to present to you.
Okay.
How's it going, Elon? So, on behalf of the presenting sponsors, Haha Yes, we wanted to present something to you that was symbolic, meaningful, and really, you know, these last few months have obviously been quite tumultuous for you. And so we really got creative and really, we wanted to create you something special. And so I'm going to read you something. Basically, you know, Elon, you brought electric cars back from the dead. You made clean energy cool. You made rockets reusable. You're going to take us to Mars. You spent billions to buy Twitter and save free speech. You stopped running your empire to work for the US government for free, to reduce wasteful spending, to save the country from bankruptcy, right?
Yeah, it took a few arrows for that one, I have to say.
And how were you thanked? It's like you were betrayed. You were mocked, attacked by the very people who once cheered you on. Your name dragged through the mud, your cars vandalized, your motives questioned. But that's not the full story, as I imagine many here would attest. So there are millions of people who see you for who you are. People whose lives you've touched and changed, people who believe in what you're building, people who love you and have your back.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. So, we were gonna introduce to like a few, more than a few, but we had a reel that we were gonna play, but with some technicalities, we were unable to do it, of actual testimonials from people, really meaningful, impactful ones that people really wanted you to hear, but
We'll post it on X.
we'll post it on X. But there was only a few, but there's a lot more people who want to express their gratitude and support.
Well, thank you.
But, fortunately, they could write letters. And so, Elon, thousands of people wrote letters to you to demonstrate, and express how much you have meant to them.
We love you, Elon!
Well, I love you guys too. Thank you.